Remember, God's mighty plan has three distinct strokes. And just before we go tonight, I want to show you the last stroke. Go back to Revelation 19, and we'll end there in Revelation 19 and 20. First is the return of Christ. That's Revelation 19, 11 to 21. That's what we began last week, we finished just now. That's the return of Christ, what we just described. Secondly is the restraint of Satan. That starts in chapter 20, and I want to show you this, because that's all happening before Christ can fulfill 20% of the Old Testament. Remember Jeremiah? God tells us in Jeremiah that God is watching over His word to perform it. God is going to do what He promised He's going to do. Well, He can't do what He promised to do with Israel while the number one resistor of Israel is loose. And so look what Revelation 20 says, verses 1 through 3. This is the restraint of Satan before Christ can rule and perform all of His promises as the rightful heir to the throne of David, which is what the millennium's about. And I saw an angel, Revelation 21, coming down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit, chain in his hand. He laid hold of the dragon, that serpent of old, the devil and Satan, bound him for 1,000 years, cast him in the bottomless pit, shut him up, set a seal on him, so he should deceive the nations no more till the 1,000 years are finished. But after these things, he's released for a little while. When the Apostle John tells us, Revelation 19, he tells us, I saw, and now in chapter 20, he sees an angel. See, John gives this like he's an on-the-spot news correspondent watching. It's very chronological, and so he sees the next event. What's amazing is, when Satan goes in the pit, it says that the angel cast him in this bottomless pit. This is poetic justice in God's dealings with Satan. Centuries ago, the evil one saw to it that the mortal remains of God's beloved Son were shut up in a tomb and sealed. So it's interesting that God has Satan put in a tomb and sealed up, just like the Son of God. Only Satan can't burst forth like the Son of God could. And it's amazing. What happens to Satan, and why does God do this, just before we go? Well, throughout the tribulation era, if you read the book of Revelation, starting in chapter 9, Satan opens this pit to plague mankind. Once with horrible demons, once with the recalled soul of the beast. Now he himself is consigned to this dark hole and sealed in by an act of God. And there he rages in the ultimate prison of the universe. He can't get out. Why does God do that? Well, Satan has thoughts to keep him company. Terrible thoughts they are. I'm sure in the pit he thinks of the day of his creation when he sprang mature, magnificent, and mighty from the hand of God. He was the anointed cherub. He was the worship leader of heaven. He thought of God's throne and of his attempt to seize it for himself. Then he thought of his fall, his entrance into Eden, his short-lived triumph over the first humans, and then the sentence is passed upon him by God that he will be crushed by the seed of the woman. Not knowing exactly what that meant, he goes on to seemingly triumph through all the pages of human history until now. And then he's apprehended and thrown in the pit. He's given 1,000-year confinement to think of his own eternal destruction. And then the end comes, as we see in chapter 20.